Twitter is a service for staying in touch with friends or people you're interested in throughout the day, no matter where you are. It's framed around the question, what are you doing? You answer that question on the web or on your phone, and people who are interested receive your updates, and vice versa. Someone termed it ambient intimacy. And it feels intimate because you learn things about people that you wouldn't know unless you were very close to them. And it's not that it's private stuff, or it's not that it matters, but it's like, it feels weird. It's like, why would I know this about this person that I may have never met?
It fits in perfectly with how humans act and communicate with each other. When you're in a family, these are the things that you share with each other, these short little things, these the minutiae.
One of the things you get out of it is this sense like, oh, everybody has those moments of being satisfied, of just having cleaned the bathtub, or it's very normal to be nervous about going up on stage before, 2,000 people, or what have you, things that you wouldn't normally have access to people's thoughts. And in a way, you can read people's minds, which is I find it very reassuring.
I'm making some tea. I'm hungover from the MySpace party last night. Trying to remember if I have a lunch meeting. We really need new carpet. Taking a sip of coffee.
It's awfully warm in this room.
I'm not used to being interviewed and talking about myself so much.
A lot of it is not interesting at all unless it's immediate, unless you get this message from your friend and you're sipping coffee in a cafe and they're on a safari, and that's where we think a lot of the interestingness comes from Twitter. Seeing that your friend was sipping coffee in a cafe yesterday, not that interesting.
I have looked through the archives of my own Twitters, which I don't know how many there are, 1,500 or something like that, which are fun to go through because it's now like a year and a half worth, and sometimes I just remember things, or sometimes I'm like, I wrote that? I have no memory of that, in the way that you might see a snapshot and feel like, oh, I didn't even remember being there, or I'd forgotten we had done that, or something. It'd
kind of be neat if picturing visualizations where I could like lay it out in a timeline and, blow up things that are, more important markers.
You could Twitter about something big that happened, like you just got engaged, and that's a way to tell a whole bunch of people. But, sometimes you want to Twitter about how you felt about the dinner you just made, or you were disappointed in something that happened in your day. And it's just a way to stay connected to a whole bunch of other people who who are following you.
I don't Twitter constantly. It's not a huge part of my life, but I use it for some friends that I don't talk to as much anymore, and with my brother who lives in Kansas City. We don't talk that much on the phone. I knew he had these thoughts that he can parlay into 140 characters, and then when he started Twittering, I was like, this is amazing. It was untapped.
Are you a person who's thinking about what are you thinking about? And if you are, then Twitter's a good way to express that. If you're not self-reflective or self-aware in that way, Twitter's never going to make any sense. You would have to really put a lot of effort into converting what you're thinking and doing into 140 characters. It's sort of narrating your own life, and that feels, for whatever self-centered reason, fairly natural to me. So Twitter is great for that.
There was a lot of disdain about blogging in the beginning. People see Twitter with even more disdain, but there was a lot of, why does anyone care? Who do you think you are writing this thing? Or if you propose that they might do it, it's like, I don't have anything to say, no one would care. But for the most part, people have realized, oh, it's cool, anyone can write stuff. You don't have to listen. It's not necessarily because they think they're important or journalists or whatever. It's just self-expression. Obviously, there's a lot of quality blogs out there, so it's harder to argue with that now. Twitter has, it is by nature more ephemeral and more trivial in some respects, but it's social connection that makes people tick, I think. It's the same reason you talk to people.
What's nice about it is that it's a very indirect connection. It's a very low impact connection because it doesn't require a response, and yet you can feel connected to people. Who doesn't have thousands of emails that you have not responded to that you should have?
A lot of people assume it's like a social network where there's these two-way relationships and you're friends with someone, but This beauty of blogs and Twitter is that it's up to the receiver whether or not they want to get the information. And if you make yours public, those who want to receive yours receive yours. So you can Twitter however you want, and if someone doesn't want to receive your updates, they'll stop following you.
Often you're really sending your ideas out there to people that you know, a selected group. I mean, sure, it goes up on the public timeline and everyone in the world can see it, but most people in the world don't care. And so you have your audience pre-picked.
My partner, Tony, has a younger sister who is 15, and she wouldn't text me personally with, random stuff going on, and I wouldn't text her randomly. But because we Twitter with her, we know what's going on with her in a way that we would have no idea otherwise. And she lives in San Francisco. We see her a fair amount. But when we see her, we always know what's up with her. We always have things to talk about with her. We know what's going on with the guy in Oregon. We know what's going on with the guy in San Francisco. We get the whole story in a way that we never would if we didn't have a medium that keeps us connected.
The business model for Twitter, we do speculate, but we don't know yet. And we just raised money, and it's a new service, and it's a new category, and we have to figure that out, like a lot of startups. And currently, that's not our focus. Our focus is to grow the service and make it as valuable as possible to as many users as possible. If it's not a lot bigger, then there's not a lot of business models that are going to be interesting.
Twitter isn't the only one who's doing this. And the concept of presence and sharing ideas and thoughts immediately with people, I think that that's something that's so intrinsic to us that it'll stick around just because of our basic human desire to do that. And because it has that staying power, people will figure out how to make money off of it. That's capitalism.